in the Towson crime spree was previously enrolled in Baltimore City Schools, a district that Project Baltimore revealed has historically failed students, igniting the question once again of the classroom to courtroom pipeline. This morning, community activist and former Baltimore City mayoral candidate Pastor Shannon Wright joining us live to weigh in. Pastor Wright, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
The question on many people's minds, are these kids, the kids here in our city, set up to fail?
Of course they are. Education is the one surefire way to giving some of the tools and resources for a future where someone can be productive and constructive and a part of their community and society. You know, there are statistics that, I don't know if they still measure it this way, but it used to be measured, the grades of how kids did in their 8th grade proficiency test gave them a rough idea of how many prison cells they needed to make sure were ready and waiting. When we fail children, when we don't allow children to reach their full potential, we're setting ourselves and our community up for failure. I would wonder also, this young man that a couple weeks ago was on the most wanted list, also 19 from Baltimore. Was he a product of the public schools? Did he fail or drop out or just kind of was lost and fell through the cracks? If we don't fix the schools, we can't fix the city, and it's as simple as that.
What can be done? What is the first step in fixing the schools?
The first step, actually, there's two things that need to be done at the same time. One, we need legislation out of Annapolis for a dissolution of the current school board and a fully elected school board. We need introduction of legislation for academic savings accounts so that the money follows the students. Locally, we need a recall ballot to be able to pull folks out of office that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And we need term limits. These are things that we could do and we could have in place in the next election cycle.
Pastor
For parents that are concerned, they got to step up and they got to speak up.
That is exactly what I was just going to ask you. There are some who say, you know, yes, there needs to be changes within the school system, but a lot of this happens at home. What can be done there to try and get these kids on the right track?
Well, I think, you know, you can't legislate what people do at home. So that's obviously a little bit more challenging. But if we could move more to a community school format so that parents and caregivers were involved as well, so that the resources that were needed could be properly assessed to be able to lift up these families instead of letting them all fall through the cracks, number one. And number two, we need church leaders to step up and be church leaders. This is the area where folks of faith are mission mandated and ordained to work. So we need that partnership between faith, between the schools, between the families and communities. We need a real community school format.
Something else that's been a concern for many is that just the school buildings themselves. We've seen many days where kids weren't able to go because there wasn't AC. As we head into the winter months, are you concerned about heating issues now?
Oh, of course. I'm sure everybody remembers a couple of years back, right after the holiday recess, schools had to be closed for several days. And then there was a hearing about it. And the interesting thing, when you walk into the Board of Education, it was nice and toasty. You had to take off all your hats and gloves and scarves. But in the school buildings, it wasn't. So I'm curious to see, when we get to the colder days of winter, how many of the schools that were on the list that had to be closed in the summer for no air conditioning will still be on that list of having to be closed because there's no heating, and how many of those were on that list from some years back. This is not a new problem, it's a systematic problem, and anyone in leadership that says, well, you know, we're making progress, and when I was in school, we didn't have heat in a lot more of the buildings, and we didn't have air, is tone deaf. These children are our best chance to turn the city around, and we owe them a proper education in a good environment to be able to learn.
Thanks for weighing in this morning.
Thank you.
7:19, let's get back to traffic and weather. We do that together every 10 minutes, and it's time to check in now with meteorologist